There we go. All right. Welcome. So glad that you're here. My name is Renine Royer, and I'm an admissions counselor for Washington State University. And we're all here to learn about transferring into our system if you're interested in the engineering and computer science area. So we'll have lots of time for questions and answers at the end. I'm going to turn it over at this point to Casey, who will be providing most of the information today.
All right. Thanks, Renine.
Mhm.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so we can get started. All right. Does that look good?
Yes.
Good to go.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
great.
you.
I am Casey Shirtenlieb, and I'm the Director of Advising for the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture. And I'd like to thank you, first of all, for taking some time out of your lunch hour to learn a little bit. Hopefully, this will be informative for you. And really, the goal of today that we're trying to do is just to get you familiar with both what WSU offers as potential transfer pathways for your students, as well as some of the first steps for beginning that process and where to go to find more information. And then we'll open it up to questions and hopefully get a good conversation going. Um, so as I'm introducing, let me see if I can move ahead. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to, now I can't, of course, see the participant list, but I'll do my best to remember who's here and who, who to introduce. But I'll introduce you to some of our academic advisors within our college. We have the degree programs shown right here, and they are on the Pullman campus. They're divided into five different schools and departments. Um, in the upper left there, we have the School of Design and Construction, which includes architecture, construction management, interior design, landscape architecture. And I know Jess Cross is here. Jess, you mind popping on real quick and introducing yourself?
Hello, I'm Jess Cross. I work mostly with our interior design and landscape architecture students, but I can also answer questions about our other programs.
All right, thanks. And I'm assuming you're the representative for SDC, right? So,
Yes, I'm the only one
okay,
here.
great. All right.
I
I don't
can
want to
hear
miss
you okay.
anyone. All right, and then we have the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, only one undergraduate degree program, civil engineering. And I think I saw Christina jump on. Is that right? Is Christina there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yep. So Christina Gerard, and then Chelsea is the other advisor for civil engineering. We have the Boylan School of Chemical Engineering and Bioengineering. That's our third department on the Pullman campus. And I think Maria's here. Can you jump on real quick, Maria?
Hi, I advise all the undergrad bioengineering and chemical engineering students.
All right. And then we have the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science with the 5 degree programs that you see there, including our newest, which is cybersecurity. I think I saw Cindy come in to the chat. Is that right?
Yeah, hi, I'm Cindy Zimmerman, and I advise computer science and some cybersecurity students. And Paul Wilmoth will be joining us a little bit late. He's our lead advisor and knows about the electrical engineering, computer engineering, and software engineering. He also advises cybersecurity and computer science.
Thanks, Cindy. And then finally, we have the School of Mechanical and Materials Engineering. And I saw Chris, and then I think Teresa just jumped in. So go ahead, Chris. You can introduce yourself first.
Yes, hello, hi everyone. My name is Chris Dillman, and I advise for mechanical engineering and material science engineering.
All right, and then Teresa.
Hi, yeah, I'm Teresa. I'm also an advisor in mechanical material science engineering.
Okay, great. So these are all of the different majors that we offer at WSU that are under the umbrella of the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture. And then I'm going to go to the next slide here, excuse me, which talks about the 5 different locations around the state where the Voiland College has a presence. And I think the pie chart is helpful too, just to give you a little bit of perspective as far as the number of students we have and where they're distributed. So on the Pullman campus, we offer all of the majors, and those advisors who introduce themselves are your primary contacts for those different majors. On the Vancouver campus, we offer mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science. And is Carrie or Claire here?
Yep, Carrie's here.
Oh, hi, Carrie. Yeah.
Yep, and yeah, Claire and I are the two advisors in our department on the Vancouver campus, and we each advise for all three of the majors, so either of us can help answer questions. But
Okay.
I'm here today.
Yeah. And one important thing to note about Vancouver and then Tri-Cities as well is they offer 4-year degree programs. So students, in other words, students can transfer in really at any point. They don't necessarily have to get the first half done somewhere else. Um, yeah, and then we have Tri-Cities, which would include civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science. And Alex, I think, is here. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, my name is Alex Cohn. I'm the primary advisor for the WSU Tri-Cities campus for, yeah, all the engineering, computer science, cybersecurity, all that fun stuff.
Do it all on the Tri-Cities campus, is Alex. Yeah. Um, all right, and then we have Everett and Olympic College Bremerton. Is Lynn here from Everett? I don't know if I saw her log in. Okay, well, I can just mention, so Everett is mechanical, electrical, software engineering, and cybersecurity. I believe they also have data analytics, which is kind of, it used to be part of our college. Now it's more College of Arts and Sciences, but kind of keep that in mind too, I guess. And then we have Bremerton, which is mechanical and electrical engineering. I think Melissa is here representing
Hi. Yep.
those. Yeah.
I'm Melissa Luatua, and yes, I'm on the Olympic College campus for the mechanical and electrical program.
Yeah. And the important note about Everett and Bremerton is both campuses are designed as a 2+2 program for our degrees. So students will start at the community college that's partnered with that campus. So Everett Community College or Olympic College in Bremerton. And then they have to have a certain number of prerequisite courses completed before they can move into the WSU program. And that would be for junior and senior year. So those classes are offered there. And Melissa knows way more about that than I do. So if we have questions about those 2+2s, guess what, Melissa? You're going to be answering them.
No
Great.
problem.
Okay. So, and again, just kind of to know, as overall undergraduate enrollment, I think we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 to 4,500 students. About 3,200 of those are on the Pullman campus. So just kind of give you an idea of the scope. So we have fairly large degree programs, and we offer a lot and graduate a lot of those students. Couple of the most common questions I'll just kind of deal with here because we have nice websites that can help as a tool if you're thinking about advising students who are considering WSU. One is a common question we get is, do I have to apply to the college? Do I have to apply to the major? What's the process for that at WSU? And I think we have a fairly streamlined easy entry process for that. It does differ a little bit if you're thinking about engineering and computer science versus our design and construction majors. So just be aware of that difference. But in general, for engineering and computer science students, what we're looking for is students who are calculus ready or, farther along or beyond. There is generally a minimum transfer GPA. Most commonly, that's a 2.5 GPA. Sometimes it goes a little lower, sometimes a little higher. And as I mentioned, for Everett and Bremerton, we do have additional prerequisite course requirements. And the reason for that is because we don't offer the first and second year courses at Everett or Bremerton. If you are interested in getting more into the details of those transfer requirements, this website here that we have, the Direct Admit website, is a good tool for that. And also, part of the reason why I did all those advisor introductions is we are more than happy to help answer your questions and work individually with students, even as they're going through that application or deciding process with WSU. I think that's something we do really well is work with students and help them bridge the gap. And I can't remember, it was either Pierce or Bellevue College recently. I was talking with a student and giving them suggested classes for their spring quarter because they're thinking of transferring in the fall next year or fall 26, I guess. And we're more than happy to do that. And it actually makes our job easier when they get here on campus if they have a nice. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. I will mention for School of Design and Construction, and Jess is happy to help answer any questions with that specifically. But these are, since they're considered cohort-based programs, students will apply for architecture or construction management or interior design or landscape architecture at the end of the first year of the four-year program. They're admitted into the program at that point, and then they have 3 years to finish. So what that means is the 2+2 kind of transfer model that you may think of with community college doesn't really often work that well at all with School of Design and Construction. So a lot of times students, if they're lucky, they'll have that first year done with their transfer credit and can apply right away to get into the second year. But in some cases, it's starting over with the four-year plan. So just be aware of that, and that's even more reason to reach out if you have students that are interested in those uh, majors potentially. All right, so I have one more slide and then we'll go to questions. Kind of an important one, I guess. So how to reach us, we have a transfer students webpage as well. So if you're looking for contact information for our advisors or just kind of remembering something you heard during this webinar that you maybe want to get a little clarification on, you can always reach out to us with any questions you have. All right. So before we move into questions, I realized I forgot something. I would also like to introduce, so WSU, the university as a whole, has a transfer center, which is kind of coordinating and a clearinghouse for students that are transferring in credit and evaluation, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Laura to kind of take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Laura Welch. I am the Assistant Director of the Transfer Center here at WSU. And I know I'm going to share with you just a couple of resources that we have on our website that hopefully will be helpful for folks as you all are helping your students transfer into engineering and different degrees. I'm assuming everyone can see this. The screen, perfect. This is our main website, and I'll just put the link in the chat. For those of you, thank you, Renine. For those of you who maybe have never been here before, the resource I want to highlight is our transfer pathways through the Associate of Science transfer degree. So we don't necessarily have pathways that are like, oh, take these 2 years of classes and then, and then transfer. These are more for helping your students plan out their general education requirements or UCOR requirements. So if students complete an Associate of Science transfer degree at a Washington Community College and transfer it to WSU, it will automatically satisfy some of our general education or UCOR requirements. So it'll satisfy our writing, our quantitative requirements, and then both our biological and physical science requirement. However, because the AST, as you all know, may know, it's mostly science, mostly a lot of math. It does not. It's different than a DTA in that it does not automatically cover all of our gen ed degrees. And so I created these charts to help you kind of figure out, like, for the humanities and social sciences requirements for those degrees, how can you maximize the courses that your students are getting so they can cover as much gen ed as possible within that degree before they transfer to WSU. And so, I on this webpage, the initial page, it has, I listed out all of the schools in the state of Washington, community colleges that offer Associate of Science transfer degrees. So, you can find your school. And they all have two different charts. The first chart just shows here's, all of the courses that are on your humanities and social science course list and which specific UCOR designation they meet. So that's kind of the first chart. And then the second chart is kind of recommended humanities and social science courses based on the degree path that a student wants to follow once they get to WSU. So for example, if someone wants to do, just general biology, they'll do track one of the AST, and they could just take any three courses that meet three separate requirements. Um, oh, thank you. Yay, yay. People are using the charts. That's nice. Um, or for example, some of them get more specific. So for example, if you want to do, electrical engineering, um, taking Econ 201 or 202, and two additional courses that meet separate requirements, excluding COM, because that electrical engineering degree requires a second writing course. And so taking so that kind of thing. So these are things, again, it's not like here's the 2 years of classes. It's just more just helping students maximize those gen eds. So hopefully that is helpful. It sounds like, yeah, a couple of people are getting use out of the tool, so that's perfect. It also shows you how to find our schedules of study. We just kind of explain. So on our catalog, we have, we call them schedule of study, but it's basically the 4-year course plan for a degree, kind of listed out term by term. So if you're looking for, what courses overall are required for electrical engineering, you could find that on our catalog. And these are instructions on how to do that as well. So yeah, that's kind of the main resource for today I'd like to share. And then if there are other questions, in the questions section time that we have, I'd be happy to pull up more information or share more website info as needed. So yeah.
All right, thanks, Laura. Yeah, I think. Sorry about that. Lost my Zoom window here. There we go. So I think we're ready to pivot over to questions. So if anybody has any questions, I know we've been answering them in the chat as we've been going, but if you'd like to speak your questions or just talk or comments or anything, feel free to raise your hand and we can go about this. I will probably be kicking it to one of our other advisors to answer if it's a specific question, but we're happy to help. All right. Yeah, Lady Ivory.
Hi, Laura. It's nice to see you again
Hi.
virtually. I was wondering, with the tables that you just showed us with the U-Core, will there be plans for creating something similar for like the specific like math, physics, engineering classes at our schools that then count for those specific pathways of engineering, like civil and mechanical, computer, bioengineering? Just curious.
Yeah, so I guess are you asking, so separating it out by major and then just kind of listing like take calculus physics, engineering physics versus like algebra physics for
Yeah,
X,
yeah,
Y, and
because
Z
I'm
majors?
noticing like since you guys did like the WSU recommended humanities and social science courses, like if there's like here are the engineering electives that are recommended for someone going into civil and mechanical. And because usually those are like on our degree tracks, those are like consult an advisor based on your specific engineering track in school. So I was just curious if like any of the engineering programs there. I know I usually just refer or use the spreadsheet that WSRD has created. But I was just wondering if you guys were going to build something similar from what's on there onto your website.
Yeah, that hasn't been I haven't thought about that. It hasn't been a request. But it can be something we add to it. So yeah, I can make a thing, because yeah, I think in my head I'm just thinking, oh, they're all required to take engineering physics, which is what we require for basically any engineering degree. But I know there's also other degrees that have nuances that
Yeah,
Right.
there are, yeah, part of the trick with that is the courses as you get into the, statics and dynamics and
Hmm.
thermodynamics and classes like that, there's individual departments kind of decide on those, whether they accept them or not in some cases. So it would require a little more coordination, not just with Laura's office, but with like electrical engineering with the faculty curriculum committee or something like that. But it could be done, and I agree it would be a very helpful tool. Um, I think the biggest issue with that is just the maintenance of keeping it up, like if things change, because sometimes courses are changed how they're taught at the community college, sometimes curriculum requirements change. So
Yes,
yeah,
it's a
yeah, that's a
moving target for sure.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, when I saw these, I gotta say, I just kind of recently discovered these tables that Laura had built. And I was kind of blown away with all the information for UCore, which is great for our students because, if you can save having to take a couple of classes at WSU, that might cut a semester off your degree time.
Yeah, like those things are really helpful. But I'm glad we have, I don't know if you all use or know what I'm referring to with the WSU. They
Hmm.
have that spreadsheet, and I find that I use that a lot with the course planning because those nuances, right? Like aeronautical for us, they need that calc for thermodynamics and dynamics, but then like other majors like material science would additionally need like an engineering 140, but they don't need dynamics, although it's part of our associate's degree. So little things like that is
Yeah,
kind of get very
yeah,
granular.
yeah. And I will just say it again, like we are more than happy to help individually students with questions related to specific courses and things like that. And I know in the past we have tried to build out sort of what you suggested as having like, oh, take these classes for math and these classes for physics. And it was it was just a lot of work to go through every year and update them all for all the different schools and make sure that everything was accurate. And so we kind of instead rely on those transfer tables that the transfer center has built, and like you said, the WSU kind of AST track. So yeah,
Thank you.
all right, yeah. Thanks for the suggestion, though, definitely. Um, I saw something in the chat about writing portfolio. Did that get answered, or should I take a shot at it?
I put a link to the writing
Okay,
portfolio
great.
website.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I would say, I guess what I will add kind of from an advising standpoint is anyone who has 60 credits or more, semester credits or more that are coming into WSU will be flagged for that writing portfolio requirement when they come in. So it's a good idea if you have students that are close, that are doing that 2-year degree or will have a lot of transfer credits. Just give them a heads up about the writing portfolio and maybe saving a couple of their good papers that they've written at the community college because we can use those. Um, the portfolio process itself is fairly painless if you have the papers, ready and you have kind of the contacts you can get to get those submitted. And it's really kind of designed to be that way. It's to, have a certain standard of written communication, which I think is valuable for our degrees. But also we have to put some kind of a hold on it. And with the writing portfolio, that's what happens is it's a hold on registration. So it will impact their second semester that they're here at WSU if they haven't taken care of it. Did that do a decent job of explaining the writing portfolio? All the details, there's a really good FAQ on the website that Laura posted. So I would just go in there and look at that for further questions. All right, I've been missing a lot of the chat, so if
All
there's
right, the
something
next
you
one,
want to bring
the
up,
next question after that was if a student transfer, oh wait, well, Melissa's answered it, but if a student transfers to Pullman for engineering with Calc 3 or Calc 4 at Olympic College, would they have 3 years left? Is the next question.
oh yeah, that's really very situational. A lot of it depends on what major they're interested in, what other classes they have. Math is the key limiting factor initially, but also there are these other 4 credit lab courses depending on the major that can also slow the student down. So, chemistry 105, that's a semester class for us, which means 2 quarters at a community college. The engineering physics, most of our degree programs require, that's a full year series. Um, so if with those 3, with the math all the way through to multivariable calculus, with the chemistry, with the physics, just talking about a generic engineering program, we're probably looking at about 2.5 on average, occasionally 3. Oh, Cindy has her hand raised. Maybe I'll let her chime in. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the EECS majors, how much coding do they already are they
Oh,
coming
right.
in with?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about that, Cindy, since you mentioned it, as far as how the transferring works, because that gets a little confusing sometimes.
Yeah, so for computer science, we have 6 classes that are taken sequential. They're semester classes. And then you take the first 3, and then you have one semester that you're taking some core foundation classes, and then you take the last 3. So if a student comes in from the community college, and even if they have their math, done, they're still looking at, but they have no coding. They're looking at 3.5 years for a computer science degree, just because of the sequencing of classes.
Yeah, and do you want to talk about the different programming languages and how we deal with that? Because that's
So we
another
have
issue. Go
in Pullman, we primarily use C++, C++. And we have all 6 in the series, the sequential series here at Pullman. For those students that are coming in with Java, which is what most community colleges do, those we offer the second and the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. We don't offer the first class. So if they've started, if they want to go the Java route, they're better if they can complete at least the first 3 or 4 coding classes before they come to WSU. If they, the Java courses that we do offer are offered once a year, either in the spring or in the fall. So if they don't complete, like say for instance, they come in and they take the second of the coding classes in Java and they don't pass it their first time, they're adding a year because it's not going to come around.
Yeah, and that's important to know, and yet another reason why, talking with our advising team is a good idea if you have someone who's in an electrical engineering computer science major, because it's not just math, it's not just physics, it's also the computer programming that you need. Even for electrical engineering, there's a full year of C++ here at WSU. All right. Other questions from the chat?
Yeah, the next one is, do engineering degree programs have capacity constraints? And if so, do those limits vary by campus?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. Yes. So currently we do not have capacity constraints for any of our programs. I would, crystal ball looking into the future. We may start to reach that with mechanical engineering, but we are very definitely in the mindset of trying to grow enrollment and to try to serve the state of Washington as the land grant university for helping students, further their education and train professional engineers for the workforce. So we're definitely not at capacity constraints, and we're actively recruiting both transfer and first year students for all of our programs.
And I can speak to the philosophy for electrical engineering and computer science. To echo what Casey said, our leadership truly believes in the land grant mission. We will not turn away students that are qualified. We will not cap their enrollment in our programs.
Spoken by the person who schedules the computer science classes. Thanks, Paul. All right, next question. Oh, I guess related to that, I should probably mention. So on that website that I shared that has the direct admit requirements, if a student does not meet those direct admit requirements, there are still pathways for them to get admitted into the major at WSU. And they are what I would describe as very open pathways. So this is not a situation where, like, if you don't qualify at admission, you're not going to get in. This is a situation where if you don't qualify at admission, it probably means you just need to pass a couple math classes and keep your GPA at a reasonable, like I said, like a 2.5 and above level. You will get into the program. The philosophy we have at WSU.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes, the admit to major thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the posted requirements on that website that I linked for admit to major are the requirements for what we call direct admission, which would be automatically admitted at your first advising appointment, like before you even started at WSU. So that admit to the major is, it's in our catalog, it's very clear. But for students who don't meet that threshold, we still work with them and they will eventually get admitted into the major without any delay to their program, provided they successfully complete the required, usually it's math courses that keep students from admitting directly to the major. Um, in an example of a transfer student, I would think most of them, if you're admitted to WSU and you've had at least calculus, you're probably going to be admitted to the major directly or within that first semester.
There's a question about
Thanks for the
additional
question.
applications for majors, and there was a good
Yep.
response about the SDC, and maybe you could just talk briefly about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I would say, I should say I'm talking from the perspective of engineering and computer science when I'm talking about direct admit. So maybe we could let Jess just briefly explain the SDC process.
Sorry, I had to wake my mouse up. Um, so School of Design and Construction has a set of required pre-major courses that need to be completed before a student can apply to the major. The application to the major happens every spring, and then gets processed for students to take those 3 years of professional courses. I put the link in the chat. If anyone has any additional specific questions, please reach out. But essentially, we have a few key courses that are not offered at other institutions. On the design side, specifically SDC 100, 120, and 140 are our foundational studio classes. I am open to reviewing suggestions for future transfers, but it may end up being a combination of classes, and we can get into specifics with that later. Occasionally, we'll get qualified applicants for construction management. Most of those classes are offered elsewhere, but students wouldn't be able to take SDC 100 and construction management 102. So if you have students interested in that, have them reach out to us early so we can discuss what that might look like. Does that kind of answer everything? Natalie, what's up?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Jess. Just to confirm, so because those classes are not offered elsewhere at this time, and if I'm helping a student who's not doing, a transfer agreement at like Washington Tech, etc., they would be looking at 4 years, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It is a firm 4 years. And what we do with the extra time, we clear out any remaining UCOR requirements or general things we can do. And then we also get students started on a minor so that they're not wasting time.
Thank you.
What are some common minors that students pair with one of your SDC majors?
Absolutely. So a lot of art minors are a fan. There's the exhibition study, art history. We'll have people do communications, business administration, digital technology and culture. It kind of depends on where they want their design area to be, and we try and facilitate that and flesh that out as much as possible. So if a student has a minor interest that I didn't list, we're open to discussing it.
Thank you.
And then the last question there was, and I know Paul kind of answered this, but there was a question about pitfalls for advisors to be aware of when planning series courses from quarters to semesters. And yeah, Paul, where is Paul? I mean, either you can talk to that, Paul, or I can speak to that. Either way works.
I mean, you're the expert. I'll let you go.
Oh, sure. So because quarters are shorter than semesters, there are like hard sciences and different courses. So like physics, chemistry, biology, calculus. We're just taking 1/4 of a course is not enough to cover all the content that we cover in one semester at WSU. And physics. So Paul in the chat mentioned physics is sometimes I think the trickiest, especially our engineering physics sequence, where students have to take the first and the third quarter of that physics sequence to be equivalent to our like first semester engineering physics. And then if they complete quarter 2, quarter 3 of that series, that's the second semester. Because the first quarter has some but not all of the content of our first semester. Second quarter has some but not all of the content from our second semester. And the third quarter covers all the stuff that wasn't covered in the first 2 quarters. So it's a little bit of it's a little bit confusing, kind of wonky. So the best thing to do is to make sure the students take the full series of those physics courses. And any other series, like if like chemistry or biology as needed, depending on the major. Either that, yeah, take the full series. Because if they don't have it, then they might have to just kind of start over all over again at WSU, even though they've already taken course, they've already covered some of that content. So yeah, that's kind of a sometimes tough conversations that I sometimes have, but I feel like our advisors have a lot of sometimes too.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call this a pitfall, but one thing just to be aware of and kind of to emphasize, going back to Laura's the UCore, the lists of different UCore classes you could take. I'm not sure what we call those, transfer tables or whatever. Just make sure you're picking one from each category. So, taking 2 arts classes, if they fit into that bin at WSU, that doesn't really help us for our majors. We need them spread out to all the different UCore, like one of each. So just kind of keep that in mind too. A lot of times we'll see students with 2 that fill, or 3 or 4 that fill into the humanities seems to be the biggest problem because it's so broad and it kind of gets a lot of different things. So just use those tables and make sure you get 1 from each, and then, or I guess not 2 from any one bin would be the way to say it, just to make sure we're as efficient as possible. And when in doubt, economics 10 or 202, I guess it would be macroeconomics that just works for everything. Do we have any other questions? Okay. I apologize for not doing this earlier. My intention was to have everybody kind of introduce themselves in the chat. So since we have some time, maybe we can do that. If you did not introduce yourself, so if you're from somewhere other than WSU, maybe just kind of chime in where you're from, what your position is, just so we kind of have that information. And so everybody else knows where we're coming from.
And Casey, I was wondering if you could just
Yeah.
briefly mention the new transfer scholarships that your college has for students.
Oh yeah. Boy, I should have been better prepared for that. So we are offering the WSU General Scholarship application. This is important because the deadline is Saturday, like January 31st. So get this out to your students, have them apply for the General WSU Scholarship application. For engineering or computer science majors, we are offering scholarships. They're $2,000 and they're renewable for a second year. So kind of keep that in mind going forward, and we'll be reviewing those and sending out scholarship notices. It won't be everybody who applies, but I believe off the top of my head, but I think it's a 3.6 and higher is what we're doing for the cutoff for those. Might be a little bit lower, but so for transfer GPAs. So if you have a student that's interested, they need to have completed that first year of calculus. So we want to kind of make sure they're on their way toward engineering or computer science, but make sure to encourage them to apply and make sure their major listed on the scholarship application is one of the engineering or computer science majors. Thanks for the reminder, Eddie.
Casey, is that just for Pullman or for all locations?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's for Pullman. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Yeah. My bad. I don't want to put everybody else on the hook for giving out money.
Thanks. I don't want to have to explain that later. Thank
But
you.
see, the other locations, they're saving money because presumably they're closer to home. So, Lily, do you have a question?
Yeah, I kind of was thinking of when you just answered about like the series of like how many they should take or take all the series. If a student knows that they won't stay here long enough to complete a series, do you recommend prerequisite courses to taking those series at WSU that they could do at their community college?
Do you have like a specific example? Would this be like calculus or would it
Like
be?
like a preparatory so like our college has like an intro to chemistry class that students would have
Oh,
to
yeah.
take before like general chem. If they took those like introductory classes at the community college, would that allow them to jump into the higher sciences at WSU?
Yeah, so chemistry would be a good example. So we have for our engineering majors, Chem 105 is the class that I think pretty much everybody has to take. And Chem 105 has a requirement or a strong recommendation of a previous, like a year of high school chemistry or equivalent. So if a student has not had any chemistry before, then yeah, the intro to chemistry would be a great option at a community college. If they have, they wouldn't necessarily need it. And if they could only take 1/4 of chemistry at a community college, it might not be worth it if you could find something else for them to take instead. It kind of depends on how confident they feel with chemistry, but the way I describe it to students is our Chemistry 105 at WSU. It reviews high school level chemistry for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then it moves on to new material at about that same pace. So it assumes you've seen it before, but you don't necessarily have to have just completed it. A lot of times our students will have chemistry from like sophomore year in high school, and they'll do just fine 2 years later with Chem 105. So that would be what I would recommend. So in general, if you could only get 1 credit, or sorry, 1/4 of a 3/4 series, if we're talking about chemistry or physics or calculus, it's probably better to find something else unless, I don't know, with what I always say with math though is you don't necessarily want to break in math. So it might be better for that 1/4 just so that it could start in calculus and have about half of it be review and half of it new material when they get here. But the expectation wouldn't be that they'd have credit, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yep, good question. Thanks. Other questions?
Oh, the
All
question
right.
is,
Oh, go ahead, Laura. Yeah.
oh, I was saying about the writing portfolio. Is it required for transfer students even if they've already completed a 200 level English class? I'll say
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
I believe is the answer.
it
Yeah.
is required. Yeah.
It's like a universal graduation requirement for all WSU degrees. So, yeah. Okay. Well, unless there are any other questions, I guess we'll kind of wrap this
There is
up.
another
Oh,
question.
okay, great.
Does WSU Everett have the 131 scholarship deadline? And the answer is yes.
Oh,
So
thank you,
it's
Rennie.
for the whole system.
Yep. And they are different scholarships for Everett or for Vancouver or Bremerton, Tri-Cities.
But for the students, we've tried to streamline it so there's the one application and then it goes to their appropriate
Yeah,
campus or
it's just a
department.
giant database that whoever at WSU is awarding scholarships, we just pick our filters and we get our list of students. So,
And there's another question, is a diversity course required?
oh, Laura.
We do have, go ahead, Laura.
I was gonna say we do have in our U Core, there's kind of two requirements that students can opt to take, either both or one or the other. It's an equity and justice is one of our designations, and then diversity is one of the designations. And I believe depending on the major, so we have 7 different kind of U Core designations, and students have to take 6 of 7. So they'll most likely have to take one of the two to meet that 6 of 7 kind of U Core requirement.
Yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure this is right, but if they take both of those, equity, justice, and diversity, does that mean they would maybe not have to take like an art or a humanities?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they could choose to take, both of those and then say, like, I won't take arts. Like, I'll take equity and justice and
Depending
diversity.
on if that works for the AST, I guess, for those degree requirements. It's kind of balancing those. And one thing to always keep in mind with that type of question is economics for our engineering majors is a specific required class for the major that also fulfills the social science UCOR requirement. So that would be one that's kind of locked in with a pin. We have to use that one, but the others you can kind of pick from and pick and choose. So I guess that'd be 5 out of 6 of those other categories.
All right. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and answer the question about if computer science requires the full physics sequence. This is where you guys are all going to hate me. We spent a lot of time really trying to refine our lab science requirements for the degree. Students no longer have to take the full physics sequence for computer science. We've kind of tailored it specifically towards transfer students so that as long as transfer students complete 2 of 6 lab science courses, we'll count that as satisfying the requirements for the degree. So this is going to be anything that will count towards Biology 106, Biology 107, Chemistry 105, Chemistry 106, Physics 201, Physics 202. So basically the science versions of all those different courses. When we say that students need 2 of 6, for the degree, we don't care which 2 of the 6 they take. We recommend a biological and a physical, so Biology 106, Chemistry 105, or Physics 201. How this helps transfer students is we just need quarters. So if a student takes Physics quarter 1 and Physics quarter 2, that won't actually equate to a physics course here at WSU, but for computer science, that will satisfy both of their lab science requirements, but not the U-Core component. So if a student brings in 2 quarters of physics, quarter 1 and quarter 2, their computer science lab requirements will be done, but their U-Cores may not be. So those students that are bringing in a DTA or an AST as well would have the U-Core component satisfied. So it gets really complicated for computer science and cybersecurity. If there's questions about that, please don't hesitate to just reach out, because it's a nightmare from a confusing perspective, but we really did try very hard to make it easy for transfer students.
That is, you kind of put a little bridge over that pitfall, Paul. I like that. So I learned that. I didn't know that about the physics requirement. So what I would say for computer science, it really clicked for me when I looked in the catalog at the 4-year plan and the schedules of studies and go down to the footnotes, and it does a really good job of outlining it. It's basically just pick 2 lab sciences from this list of 6 at WSU for your degree requirements. And so as long as you have that, you're good to go.
And Paul, do you have a URL? There's a request for the link to some of the information.
It not necessarily a URL, it's the schedule of studies for all of the degrees.
Yeah.
So I'll put the text
I'll
in
include
chat.
that, yeah.
Yeah, our catalog is not very URL friendly. Like if you go to the computer science schedule of studies and you're like, great, I'll share this page. Yeah, it doesn't work very well. It'll take you to the start of the schedule of studies and how to navigate it. Maybe that's worth doing right now since we have a little bit of time here. I'm going to do that real quick.
Carrie, did you want to talk more about Vancouver stuff too, just in case, because Vancouver is a little bit different?
Oh, I just wanted to point out, yeah, like some requirements might be slightly different on the Vancouver campus from Pullman. So like as Paul was just talking about, physics is no longer required for computer science. In Vancouver, the first physics class is required, and then students can take the second physics class, or they can take biology or chemistry. So I think in general, it's just good to look at the catalog like Casey is bringing up, and then reach out if you have questions.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for clarifying, Carrie. We're into the weeds at this point. That's why we gave a full hour for Q&A. Okay, so this is the easiest part about this website is the URL, catalog.wsu.edu. Oh, Tabitha, you want to ask your question real quick?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm just wondering if you guys have like transfer like workshops or seminars for students who might be interested.
We don't, but we offer one-on-one Zoom appointments.
I do weekly presentations for all majors, all campuses. It's called Transferring to WSU it's usually 1 to 2 on Mondays. and I'll put the URL in the chat for students to sign up. And then we all do individual one-on-one Zoom meetings or phone calls as well. And then also I started doing evening presentations once a month from 6 to 7. I have one this Thursday to catch those students who are working or have other commitments.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And Tabitha, if you think it would be valuable to have a larger group presentation, like with a group of students, I'm sure we'd be happy to arrange something. I mean, we could do it like this, but with students instead of advisors. So.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so quick little rundown of the catalog to kind of wrap things up here. So the WSU catalog, you can go to the link for campus specific, kind of like what Carrie was talking about, different requirements for different sites. I'm just going to do Pullman campus. And the one you're primarily going to be looking at is schedule of studies, which is right here. So this is how you earn your degree. And we'll use computer science as an example since we were just talking about that. So you go down to computer science. All right, my Zoom pictures are blocking the right-hand side here. So on computer science, over here on the right-hand side, you'll see this is like the list of courses offered with those prefixes, schedule of studies right here. These are the 4-year plans. So if we go to computer science and the schedule of studies, then you'll see kind of the admission to major requirements, which is also on that website that I shared the URL with earlier. And then the schedule of studies it's not printer friendly, it's not share friendly, it's not anything friendly other than it's accurate. So you can kind of go through here and see. And what I like to do when I'm kind of digging into the degree requirements, there's that lab science requirement Paul was talking about, and then there's the other one right here. You pay attention to the footnotes and you go down to the footnotes, and then it has all the information as far as what are approved classes and kind of the fine print, so to speak. So that's kind of one self-service way of doing it. And if, obviously then working with an advisor for clarification, things like that. All right, any questions on the catalog? Great.
And there were two more, just maybe briefer questions. One, is there a minimum GPA requirement to apply for the scholarship? And I think we're talking about the general scholarship application.
Oh, maybe for the transfer one. I think the minimum would be a 3.2 transfer for consideration, and then 3.6 and above is our higher level scholarship. That'd be the 2000. I think we have a 1000 and 2000, if I remember right, for transfer students.
And then for Pullman staff, will you have info tables and or advising sessions for students at spring preview on April 25th?
What is spring preview? Is that a recruiting event?
That's it. Yeah, it's like the one where like high school, maybe like high school, like juniors.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we do.
Students.
Yeah, we have a table. I don't think we'll have advisors. We have a recruiting team for that, which is part of the reason why I'm a little clueless at the moment. But I used to do those. Yeah, so there'll be tabling. There'll be some. We usually do lab tours and a presentation. It's major specific too, so there'll be a little bit different flavor if you're mechanical engineering versus electrical engineering.
And then Grace had a question about, are you open to meeting one-on-one with running start students who are technically first-year students when they apply, but are more like transfer students with advice about course selection? And Ernie said yes, and yes, like I said,
Absolutely.
yes,
Yeah, I'm the father of a
center,
running
yes.
start student right now, and I can tell you it's terrible trying to get information because the high school doesn't want to help you and the college doesn't want to help you a lot of times. So we will definitely help you if you're interested. And yeah, running start students oftentimes are great students for us if they decide to come here to WSU. So more than willing to help.
And do running start students qualify for scholarships?
No, they would apply as a first year student, so they would be eligible for scholarships applying as a first year student, but not as a running start student. All right. Anything else? Okay. I think I might call it at this point. So we're just a couple minutes before 1. I'll hang on for a few more minutes. So if there's something you wanted to ask and just want to wait till it thins out a little bit, that's good. But I think we'll go ahead and stop the recording, Renee, if you want.
Thank you,
So
everyone.
thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate your time.